Hello there. One of the most common questions that I get asked is, what class or spec should I play? And I always have a hard time answering it because there are so many factors to take into consideration here. So I figured I would put all my thoughts into one video and break it down to give you a definite answer of what you should play once and for all. I figure there are two reasons that people will be asking this question. Either the player is new to the game and is having a hard time deciding where to begin, or the player is looking to get into higher level content and wants to make sure that they're running a strong class. So let's answer that in order. First, for the new players trying to figure out where to start, it is my firm belief that you should play the class whose fantasy appeals to you most. Did you watch The Mandalorian and think, man, I want to be Din and Boba? Then play Bounty Hunter. Was Luke your hero growing up? Then play a Knight. If you've been binge watching the Clone Wars, you might want to play a Trooper. You're going to find the game far more enjoyable if you play a class fantasy that you are most invested in, following a story that interests you. If it looks cool to you, that is what's most important when you're first getting into SWTOR. You're going to have so much more fun immersing yourself in the world of Star Wars if you're playing a character that you're actually interested in compared to a 5% increase in damage by playing a meta class. You're not going to remember what your numbers looked like or what you pulled in a dummy parse. But I can tell you exactly what my first Knight looked like, how he played, and how much fun I had exploring the SWTOR galaxy as this mythical hero of the day. If you're looking for a recommendation about which storylines are the best, the general consensus is that Imperial Agent, Jedi Knight, and Sith Warrior have really solid storylines that are a joy to follow. So that means playing an Operative, Sniper, Guardian, Sentinel, Juggernaut, or Marauder will all be great classes to start off with. But again, if you think that being a Han Solo-esque, smooth-talking smuggler is badass, well then that is the class I would recommend you play. Play what you think is cool. Please, you're going to have so much more fun. Okay, with that out of the way, let's move on to those of you asking the question because you want to make sure that you're running a strong class. Please note that you can make any class viable with enough skill, so if you don't see your favorite spec on here, this isn't saying that your spec is trash. It's just not as optimal for everyone, in my opinion, compared to the other classes. So let's break these down into ranged, melee, tank, and heals. For those of you that like to play range, I would recommend a Lightning Sorcerer on imp side or Telekinetic Sage on pub side for single target burst, or an Innovated Ordnance Mercenary on imp side or an Assault Specialist Commando on pub side for a mixture of dots and burst. These classes are fairly mobile, have quality defensive cooldowns, provide solid off heals, and pump out a catastrophic amount of damage. You will never be unhappy with your class's performance if you play one of these specs. For you melee monkeys that want to play stealth, I would recommend any of the specs for Operative on imp side and Scoundrel for pub side. Both of these classes are parsing well and have a Swiss Army knife level of utility that you will want to be taking advantage of. Between stealth, burst damage, high mobility, and quality off heals, you will always be happy playing an Operative or a Scoundrel, no matter what content you're running. If you don't want to play a Stealther, then in PvP I would recommend playing either a Fury Marauder on imp side or a Concentration Sentinel on pub side. This spec provides really solid defenses, high burst damage, great mobility, and frequent stealth outs, which allow you to slip away and heal up throughout the match. For non-stealthers in PvE, I would recommend an Annihilation Marauder on imp side or a Watchman Sentinel on pub side. It's currently the highest parsing spec in the game. You provide raid-wide healing that is built into your rotation, and your ability to break roots for your entire team is invaluable. That, on top of decent cooldowns to allow you to soak up damage if you screw up, makes you a very valuable member of any raid team. If you want to play a healer, all the specs are viable at the moment. I would say that Sork and Sage would be the most forgiving to play, with the easiest force management. Mercenary and Commando are about middle of the road, and then Operative and Scoundrel heals are the highest but the most punishing if you don't manage your energy well and maintain your HOTS. If you held a gun to my head, I would say play a Sork or a Sage. They excel in pretty much every aspect of high level play and are the most forgiving of the healing specs, but any of the three classes work, so it's personal preference here. Now on to the tanks. For PvP, I would recommend playing a Juggernaut or Guardian Skank tank with grit teeth, so throw on your DPS mods, slap on a shield, and go to work. You'll have an impressive amount of damage output, high survivability, and good mobility, so you will always feel like you're contributing to your team. For tanks in PvE, you're going to see a lot of Assassin and Shadow tanks for their Shroud Cleanse. They can pretty much cheese and ignore mechanics that would kill other tanks. So for this fact alone, I gotta recommend playing an Assassin or a Shadow in PvE. So those are being my recommendations as to what classes you should play. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, conundrum, etc., please leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that's all.
Hey, but what class should I play?
I'm sorry, what?
You didn't tell me what class I should play.
Well, I did. I gave you examples of what you can expect from...
No, you didn't. You suck. This channel blows. Tell me what class I should play or you're fired.
You can't fire me. I don't work... Fine. Play Lightning Sork or Telekinetic Sage. You'll be happy with the damage output in all forms of content. You can delete people. You have decent defensive and off heals. So go play Lightning Sork and I'll net and farm you just like every other meta bot in the game. Fine. There. Done. You're welcome. Fuck.